What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F124 My Team Career Mode video. I swear that's getting longer to say every single time. But here we are, round 7. We're just taking a look quickly at our facilities and doing things like activities, everything like that. We've already got a bunch lined up. Again, really trying to push for Jarno to get slightly further up the field.
Our new parts have completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
That's good to know. Thank you, Mark. Is that Mark? No, it's not Mark. What's the guy's name? Anyway, one of the world's leading interior designers has offered to give us a hospitality suite makeover. Obviously, it will come at a cost, but we'll get on the front page of a globally distributed lifestyle magazine. What should we do? So we can either accept, spend 50k and get some nice acclaim, suggest that we go for a more considerable or more reasonable offer, or just decline it. I think we've got the money. We can get some good acclaim. I think
Thanks for handling that.
the suggest was actually better value for money, to be honest with you, but we just went for the team acclaim. We really need to keep improving our acclaim so we can get better drivers potentially in the future. And yeah, just ticking through the days, getting ready for the Imola race weekend.
Welcome along, everybody, to Imola, just down the road from Ferrari HQ, and they know a thing or two about pace, and pace today is king. It's qualifying day, and it's great to have you with us.
Indeed it is, Crofty. Thank you very much for that. Obviously, qualifying's not really our strong point in this car. We struggle with all-out pace, but we're going to see how we get on this weekend. Imola might suit us in some way. It's got a mix of all kind of corners, really. Some really fast, high-speed corners. A long straight on the pit straight, which is where we are now. This is obviously a second run here. It's our lap 2 in the top left, as you can see there. We're going to break down into the first couple of kind of high-speed chicane there. Turns 1 and 2, then turn 3 is completely flat out. Try and ride those curves, but not too much. Otherwise, you will end up in the gravel. Very high speed here. I was struggling on those corners all weekend long in practice and in lap 1 as well. You can just see the time we've found in the first sector alone. Obviously, brand new softs. We've got the track to ourselves. Almost a second up on our time that we had previously. We go right up to the track limits there and just trying to really make the most of every single curve that we can ride. We've got a relatively high ride height, I would say, just so we can really launch it over those curbs. Obviously, you've got to make sure that you don't unsettle the car too much. As I mess up the first part of the chicane, it's got a little bit slow through there. We are losing a little bit of time now as we're coming up towards the last 2 corners of the track. There's a downhill braking here, which can be difficult as you offload the left front as we almost go into the gravel on that side. Last corner. Get the power down, get the battery on. We've run a little bit onto the gravel, but that doesn't matter right now. Up to the line. P12. Purple sector 1. Probably because we dumped all of the battery in the world down the starting straight. But here we go. Another lap in Q1 just to really try and solidify ourselves. Give us some more practice as well on this track. And yeah, finding time immediately. We must have had a much better exit on this lap than the previous one. Is now turn 1 and turn 2. We go all over the curbs into the grass, and we do spin off there into the gravel. And I think that is qualifying 1 done for us. Let's see there. As you'd expect the field to be, we somehow end up going out in the end there by less than 1,000th of a second. No, that's 100th. Yeah, that's 100th, not 1,000th. Not that close. There we are, 17 on the grid.
Welcome once again to the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo e Dino Ferrari. The clue's in the name. This is very much Ferrari home turf, and the locals will be out in force today to support their team in what we hope will be a magnificent spectacle of motorsport. On then to the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Unlike most Formula One tracks, Imola is driven anti-clockwise and offers our drivers today just over 3 miles of glistening wet tarmac to negotiate. It's made up of a roughly equal split of 9 right-hand turns and 10 left-hand. Watch the drivers on the way into turn 16. Managing their speed there will be crucial, with the rain only adding to the difficulty of that downhill braking section, which then, of course, leads into the track's longest straight, though no DRS there today, of course. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Russell, Hamilton, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Stroll, Gasly, Tsunoda, Albon, Ocon, Magnussen, Zhou, Brown, Bottas, Hulkenberg, Sargent, the owner driver, and Daniel Ricciardo fills the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Try to put the starting position out of your mind and just focus on the race ahead. We can still do a good job here today.
Indeed we can, Mark, and thank you for those optimistic words. We are P17, I believe, maybe P16. I can't remember from probably like 5 seconds ago. But it's an entirely wet race. Obviously you'll have seen the rain pouring down and Crofty mentioning that there is no DRS today. We're just looking at the strategy, seeing if we can do a one-stop here, or maybe think about inters instead of the full wet, but it does look like heavy rain. And it looks like it's been raining on the track for a while, so I don't think we're going to be able to do much with the strategy here. I think it's just going to be a one-stop wet strategy. Obviously we've taken the fuel out to 22 laps, and yeah, let's just see what we can do. Maybe think about a one-stop if the timing is right for us. Now here we go on the grid, P17 still, lights are on. Now they're out as we go racing here in Imola for the first Italian Grand Prix of the season. We get a lot of wheel spin off the line. We're going to try and stick it around the outside of Magnussen as we get pushed pretty much just onto the grass ever so slightly. We've got Ocon up ahead. Everyone's going into towards the racing lines. We go down the inside and really send it onto the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll, and there was actually 3 wide for a moment in turn 1. But we did. Such is the risk we took diving down the inside of Lance Stroll. We do have horrendous floor damage, which, as you know from this year's game, as we send it onto the McLaren, even onto the back of Fernando Alonso. You can see us sliding into the corner there. That was very, very risky, very aggressive, opportunistic in lap 1 conditions here at Imola. But as you know from this year's game, and Formula 1 in real life as well from the past couple of seasons, over 65% of the overall downforce of the car is from the floor, and we have critically damaged the floor on lap 1 of a heavy rain wet race around a track that has some pretty high speed corners, heavy traction zones, and even some good old chicanes to throw into the mix. So I do not have my sights on moving forward.
Okay, the start was fine. Let's try and move forward.
Mark has different ideas, but I'm not thinking about trying to move forward here. I'm thinking about trying not to move backwards. We are P9 already, such is the aggression that we chose to run with on lap 1. We do have simulation damage, by the way, which is why the floor is so damaged. Now we're on board with Oscar Piastri behind, who's not really able to mount an attack there, because we have a Herculean slide coming out of turn 2, and Oscar Piastri takes that chance to get back ahead in the McLaren cars. You can just see through these corners we just do not have any grip, potentially washing out a bit in the dirty air of the McLaren in front, but even so you can just see how easily, I mean, he is in a McLaren and we are in the Caputo Andretti F1 Racing Team car. So very different capabilities of cars. We almost spin it into the penultimate corner on the circuit, We somehow managed to keep it on the track and within track limits, and crucially stop it from spinning around. We've got Gasly behind in the Alpine, followed by Tsunoda in the Visa Cash App RB. It's just behind us, and all we're doing through this whole circuit is not using our battery and then dumping it all down that pit straight. Just purely trying to keep the cars behind us. They won't really be able to overtake us in the wet unless we make mistakes, a bit like that. Is Gasly anywhere close to us? I don't think he is. He is right behind us, sniffing our gearbox. If we mount those curbs horribly, we do end up in the gravel, which does give Gasly a bit of the jump there. We're just going to send it again back down the inside. We've got to keep hold of this position where we can. This is points right now, and we're not going to catch anyone in front. So unless there's a huge incident further up or someone DNFs, we are fighting for the last points paying position. We won't be able to catch anyone if they do get away in front of us. We somehow managed to fight off Gasly during all of that. Essentially, we're just saying you're going to back out or we're going to crash, I think is our mentality in this race here, because we do not have the pace. We do want the points. I mean, look how slow we were crawling through there because we just can't brake. We don't have the downforce to keep the car moving in the direction we want it to while braking without, you know, braking at the 200-meter board, for example. We're just lacking so much grip, even under traction. In the wet, it's not the best of times anyway. But when you've got this much damage, it is just, yeah, it's insanely difficult to try and keep the car in one straight line. But we're going to have to keep going for the next 16 laps of this race, one of which will include a pit stop. I don't think we're going to be able to do a one-stop around here. We're just going to have to hopefully box when everyone else is. We run a little bit wide there, and Tsunoda's got a great run on us, heading down into the double right-hander, but he backs out because that corner is only really one real racing line, as now he gets the jump on us coming up the hill, and I think Tsunoda is probably just going to run away from here. We're trying to get the power down, we're trying to turn on the battery and get back at him, but what can we do here? What can we do? We don't really have a huge advantage in the straight line speed department. We definitely don't have the downforce to do anything in the corners, as we almost do a little half spin. Nothing too serious. You can see all the wheel spin, you can hear it as well. And now we've got Stroll for a playmate here, who's just coming, trying to attack us, but again we're dumping all the battery, so we can't really do much. There's no DRS to help him, as we almost hit the back of Tsunoda into turn 1. Again, just trying to keep the car in a straight line. Stroll's looking around our outside. We're just going to shut the door on him. We do not care. So long as we don't take ourselves out, as there's a safety car. I do not know why there's a safety car, but we have a safety car on lap 7 of this race, which kind of helps us a bit. It's at least 1 or 2 laps extra that we don't have to fend off a car, and we can use it to box. And you can see everybody in the field is boxing, with the exception of at least 1 car at the front. I think there might be 2 who are with the safety car right now, but everybody else in the field is boxing. So potential here that we could make the most out of the double stacking that's going to happen in the pit lane. Hopefully we don't mess up Jarno too much. No, Jarno seems fine behind us, and we're in P11, which isn't too bad. We're going to be bunched up with the field again, so maybe we can do an optimistic lunge into the first corner again, but obviously it's a rolling start instead of a standing start, so the grid will be a little bit more spread out than a standing start. We're just trying to catch up to the safety car queue, and I believe, yeah, the safety car is coming in this lap. And if you've played this game and you've been through a safety car, you know there's a throttle limiter in this game. They had it in F1 23 as well. It's really not ideal, especially when you're just outside the safety car queue, because you're trying to put the power down, you're trying to get to the back of the queue, but the game's not letting you put throttle on. And all that means is as soon as it lets you back on the throttle, you're spinning out the back wheels. It's really not ideal at all. Like, we're trying to catch up right here. There's the back of the queue. We should be able to link back up. Hopefully, we can get to the back of Tsunoda in time. We've got warm tyres because we were pushing so hard to catch up to the safety car queue. Lance Stroll was not getting the message that the safety car was coming in this lap, and he is 4 seconds behind. We have a 4-second gap to anyone behind us, and only half a second to the cars in front. We're thinking about going up the inside of Tsunoda, but he's too far ahead into this first couple of corners. And again, look how much they can just pull away. He essentially pulled half a second to a second in that first chicane alone. So we are really struggling as we almost spin the car immediately. We do have more grip on these tyres as we boxed under the safety car, but without the downforce from the floor, we're really struggling. Stroll's already caught up by 2 seconds at least in the space of a lap, and the cars ahead aren't really getting away at this point. I have to say that's something that is surprising, but there will be battling up ahead. As you can see, Tsunoda's now 3 seconds ahead of us in front as we skip forward to lap 11, and Stroll is right behind us. He is within half a second at this point, and we're just, yeah, trying to keep the car in one piece, get it home. Hopefully we can get some points as well, but again, the top 10 where the points are, they're up the road. They're up the road. We've got no pace. We can't push harder and get there. There's no way we can get there unless there's an incident or a lot of battling. There is no chance. The most we can do, and the most we can hope from this race, the most we can hope to come away with from this race, words are hard, is keeping Albon behind us. Albon's our rival. Anything we can do to get ahead of him, to stay ahead of him. We've been struggling to beat him in qualifying. Such is his pace in the Williams. But during the race, we can be a bit aggressive. We can bully him a little bit into backing out, into letting us go and come through when we're trying to overtake him. And
some information on Leclerc. They seem to have an issue.
Interesting. Very interesting. As we actually went deep on that corner, I didn't really notice as I was looking into the radio message from Mark. As now Stroll is up the inside for this next very high-speed left-hander. We do a little squeeze on the inside, and he does back out of it in the end. Again, Stroll probably doesn't want to have an accident. I'm going all in here. I have to. In order to try and get something for the team, I have to go all in. Because now we move forward onto lap 14 of the race. We've been able to hold Stroll and Albon behind us. Thankfully, Stroll is defending from Albon, which, so we have a nice little wheel spin moment there, as now Stroll's already passed us as we cross the line to start the next lap, and Albon's also thinking about having a go. He's turned on the battery, he's going to the left to take the inside line. Stroll is ahead of Albon. We've kind of boxed him in here as we move to the outside, to the other side even of Stroll, looking to go in the inside, but we don't. And during all of that, we managed to kind of cut off Albon from getting past us as well, and he's going to have another go now. We're going to go side by side into this left-hander. No, Albon backed out as well. Again, we just know that we can
2.2 seconds.
We can cut people off, we can squeeze people. Albon's now trying to get another little switch back on us, the same as Stroll did in the previous kind of clip, in the previous lap. And yeah, you can see they tend to just back out of it and let us take the corner because we are ever so slightly ahead. As now he's going to do a Tsunoda, but again he backs out of it, and that puts him side by side with Zhou Guanyu, and Zhou's gotten ahead. He had the better line, the better traction going up the hill. He was able to just sneak ahead of Alex Albon. Much to the frustration of Albon, he went aggressive, he went on the offensive to try and take a position from me, and he actually lost out to the car behind. And we don't have that luxury of being able to attack somebody ahead because we simply do not have any good pace around this track with this car in this condition with the wet. It's really not looking good, but the cars behind are making mistakes.
Keep an eye on that gap ahead, please.
And in
5.7 seconds.
In 2 laps, since Stroll has overtaken us, he's gained 5 seconds. He is gone. There is absolutely no chance. We're now in P12. Yeah, there's absolutely no hope for points in this race at this point. We're just trying to keep the car on the island, beat Albon. That's our main focus. As we do have a little train behind us, but we do not care. They really have to overtake us and do it with gusto.
Here to stay for a while. Doesn't look like it's moving on anytime soon. Full wet seemed like the best tyre for now.
Yeah, no chance for inters, no chance for a Hail Mary strategy here. There's no way, even on slicks, in a dry track condition, if everyone else was on inters or wets, we would not have any hope in catching up. Just purely because we do not have any pace. I'm pretty confident that AI and the other drivers would be faster than we are if they were on wets on a dry track and we were on slicks on a dry track. I don't think we'd have the pace. We're just trying to keep the tyres fresh, we'll say. Obviously we do get a lot of wheel spin out of these corners, and we just want to try and minimise even the thermal degradation from when the tyres get too hot. We don't want them to overheat and then gradually just wear because they're too hot. We don't want them to melt because then they're not really wheels anymore. They're more of a jelly or a soup. And so far, so good. It's lap 18. There's 4 laps to go. Now, there's only a couple of places on the circuit where Zhou could possibly overtake us. All we have to do is manage our race in those parts of the circuit, as we almost spin it at the high-speed left-hander up the top of the hill before the double right, which is where we're going through now. And again, we're kind of chucking the car in, hoping for the best. There's only so much we can do, as I guess Zhou and Albon have been battling behind, as Zhou seems to get a bit closer and then drop back by around a second, which really helps us save the battery. I mean, look at the battery we've gotten at the moment. 93%.
This heavy rain will be with us for a while now. Okay, full
And
wet seems to be the fastest
again,
tyre for now.
No change in the weather as we almost spin it. And yeah, under traction we can be a bit heavy-footed. There's no way around it. So we try to go for a little bit of a quick lap there, just to A, stay away from Zhou and Albon, and B, get the lap that is fastest out of myself and Albon. If Albon's always behind somebody, he can't go his full pace. That is my thinking here.
Caution, caution.
As Russell has been having issues, there's a yellow flag right here, just on the right-hand side. You can see the Mercedes of George Russell. That promotes us to P11 on the road. We just need one more of those, please. So any Mercedes engine up front, the Aston Martins, the McLarens, the Mercedes, if you could just have a bit of a whoopsie, and that would be fantastic for us, because then we'd come away with the points as well as beating Alex Albon. So, lap 21. We're potentially looking good here to finish this race ahead of Albon, which I don't think he'll catch by 2.5 seconds in the last lap here. But in the top left you can see actually Verstappen and Perez are in the pit. They're somewhere near the pit exit right now, and I'm just burning the battery to try and get ahead. There's Verstappen, the first of the Red Bulls to leave the pit lane, and we're now promoted to P9 as both of the Red Bulls pit on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Now, here's a precarious position. You've got Max Verstappen in a Red Bull behind you on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Your tyres are 15 laps old. Max Verstappen's tyres, 0.3 of a lap old. They're really, really fresh compared to what we're on at the moment. Now, wet tyres don't really change too much. They don't wear massively, drastically, as Verstappen's thinking about the inside. He knows he's got the pace easily. He's probably lapping 3 to 4 seconds a lap faster than us at this point. And he's thinking about the outside here, but nah, you're not getting through. I've got 2 points to my name right here, Verstappen. You can sit right behind me. I do not care. Carlos Sainz crosses the line in first, followed by McLaren and a Mercedes, and I think the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. But we are fighting for our life. We have Max Verstappen in a Red Bull behind us in a Grand Prix. I wasn't thinking we'd end up in this position for probably another 300 races. But there we go, across the line. We managed to keep Verstappen behind us. Again, in the wet, it's incredibly hard to overtake. But P9 in Imola. And driver of the day. Lovely.
Here's the checkered flag, and here's our race winner today. What a smooth operation it was for Carlos Sainz.
A great team victory today, Crofty. That's the important bit here. On home soil, the drivers delivered, the team delivered as well, and to do that in front of their home support really means a lot to them.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Indeed, a good race for Carlos Sainz. I was distracted by my phone, not gonna lie. Yeah, Carlos Sainz, smooth operator, followed by the McLaren and then the Mercedes. As Ferrari are probably extending their championship lead over everybody else in this field. They've been incredibly consistent near the top, both drivers.
After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time out? Be sure to join us once again as we continue to bring you all the excitement of Formula One.
Indeed, and as I was saying, Ferrari will be at the top of the standings, followed by Norris, Hamilton, Alonso, Oscar Piastri, Yuki Tsunoda, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc in 8th, followed by ourselves in 9th, Max Verstappen, Zhou Guanyu, Alex Albon, crucially, in 12th, Magnussen, Gasly, Ricciardo, Sargent, Perez, Bottas, Hülkenberg, Ocon, Jarno, and Russell, who DNF'd but is technically 2 laps behind. Make that make sense. And yeah, a decent race it turned out. We got extremely lucky with the DNF from Russell, and then the 2 Red Bulls making their own kind of strategy at the end there. Lando Norris leads the drivers, Verstappen in 2nd, Sainz and Leclerc in 3rd and 4th. We're down in P13, just behind. We're sniffing the back of Alex Albon. I should have thought that through before saying it. And yeah, the fight is on for P6 in the constructors for us. There's a little gaggle of Aston Martin and Mercedes just ahead of us there. Well, I say just ahead. They're in their own little battle, and there's the top 3, Ferrari, McLaren and Red Bull, who are fighting for the championship. Aston Martin and Mercedes could come back into that, but I think there's already a pretty big gap there of 50 points, so they'd need a tremendous weekend to make it back up into those points-paying positions. Well, I say points-paying positions. Excuse me. The Constructors' Championship top 3. You can see highlights here. Yeah, a baffling race, really. Damage in the turn 1 from this overtake. Didn't really realise we were 3 wide, but such is life. You assume one thing and it's another. But we managed our race pretty well. We had a couple of hairy moments with hitting gravel with our tyres, half spinning. I say half spinning. Power sliding, I want to say. Especially in that corner on lap 1. But yeah, overall, a good race for us as a driver. Not really the best for the team. Again, we really need Jarno to start pulling his weight. We've got probably a few more races before we start looking at the driver market again. And Jarno has to justify his seat at this point. I know we don't have the best car by any stretch, but I think he is finishing almost last in every race. It's kind of expected. I don't really expect him to be doing much more, but at least being slightly competitive. If he's on the back of the cars that are just ahead of him, and he just so happens to be the one in last place at the end of the race, fair enough. We'll upgrade the car, we'll make it better to give him a better chance of being ahead of them. but I think he's always a couple of seconds off the back of the pack. Potentially not in this race, just purely because we were holding up everyone in the pack. But yeah, that's it, really. So next week is Monaco. Not looking forward to that race at all. I am not practiced in Monaco at all in this game. So we'll see how that goes. But if you enjoyed, leave a like. If you're new, think about subscribing. But that's it. We'll catch you guys next week in Monaco.